Grinberg believed reality is not fixed. He proposed something radical, that what we see, feel, and live is actually a projection of our consciousness, woven by what he called the neuronal field. He spent years studying indigenous shamans in Mexico, documenting extraordinary experiences of altered states, telepathy, and consciousness expansion. He suggested that hidden in the silence before sleep lies a gateway where your intentions are not just thoughts, but actual codes that shape the projection of your life. These ideas were so revolutionary that some considered them dangerous. And then, at the peak of his research, Jacobo vanished without a trace. To this day, no one knows what happened. Was it abduction, suppression, or did he simply step into the very reality he described? The mystery adds weight to every word he left behind. Stay with me until the end, because each layer builds on the next. By the time we finish, you will have a full picture of how to turn your last waking moments into a tool for conscious creation. Along the way, you'll also hear fragments of Jacobo's journey, the studies he dared to conduct, the experiments he risked everything for, and the theories that shook traditional science to its core. If you've ever wondered whether you can truly bend reality, whether thought and emotion are more than chemicals firing in the brain, this is the video you cannot afford to skip. So take a deep breath, clear your mind of distractions, and let curiosity guide you. You are about to learn something both practical and mysterious, something that lives at the intersection of science and the unknown. By the end, you may find that the world outside you is nothing more than a mirror of the world within you. This is your invitation to step into that mirror. Welcome to Awaken Synchronicity, where hidden wisdom meets daily life. If you're ready to explore deeper truths, transform your nights into portals of change, and walk the path Jacobo Grinberg began carving for humanity, then you are in the right place. Make sure you subscribe and join this journey, because what you are about to discover may change the way you see everything, from your thoughts to your dreams to the very fabric of your reality. Before we talk about the practice that can transform your nights, we need to talk about the man who uncovered these secrets. Jacobo Grinberg was not just another scientist. He was a Mexican neurophysiologist, a seeker and a bridge between two worlds that rarely touched modern neuroscience and the ancient wisdom of indigenous traditions. His life was marked by brilliance, mystery, and a sudden disappearance that still puzzles investigators, his family, and anyone who studies consciousness today. To understand why his teachings matter, you must know who he was and what he discovered. Jacobo was born in Mexico City in 1946. From an early age, he showed unusual curiosity about the mind and the hidden dimensions of human experience. His fascination was deeply personal. When he was only 12 years old, his mother passed away. The pain of her loss pushed him into a search for answers beyond ordinary explanations. He wanted to understand not just the brain, but consciousness itself, the spark that gives life meaning. That moment shaped his destiny. As he grew, Jacobo studied psychology and neuroscience with relentless dedication. He trained in universities in Mexico, and later he continued his research abroad. But what made him unique was that he didn't confine himself to laboratories and textbooks. He stepped into villages, mountains, and temples. He sought out shamans, healers, and spiritual teachers, believing their knowledge could reveal something science had overlooked. Most researchers dismissed such practices as superstition. Jacobo saw them as clues. His most famous contribution is what he called the Sintergy Theory. This theory proposed that reality, as we perceive it, is not fixed or external. Instead, it is created by the interaction between the human brain and a vast, invisible network of information, a field of consciousness that surrounds us all. According to Jacobo, the brain does not simply process sensory data. It actively projects reality, weaving together patterns of energy into the world we experience. In other words, life is not just out there, it is also in here, shaped by thought, intention, and awareness. This idea was groundbreaking. Imagine if reality is more like a movie projected onto a screen, and your mind is not only the audience but also the projector. Change the reel, and you change the film. Shift your intention, and the reality around you shifts as well. This was the essence of his work, and it directly connects to the practice you can do before sleep, the moment when the projector of the mind is most open to suggestion. Jacobo's theories were not born only from thought experiments. He conducted real studies, often blending scientific methods with spiritual practices. He collaborated with shamans in Mexico, especially Maria Sabina, the legendary Mazatec healer, who used sacred mushrooms in her ceremonies. Jacobo observed how these altered states allowed people to perceive realities far beyond ordinary awareness. To him, these were not hallucinations. They were glimpses into the underlying field of consciousness that science had ignored. His colleagues often criticized him, saying his work blurred the line between science and mysticism, yet Jacobo insisted that if science excluded the study of consciousness, it would remain incomplete. He published dozens of books, each one attempting to map the uncharted territory of the mind. Some of these books are extremely rare today, yet their ideas are spreading again as people rediscover his work. He was a pioneer at a time when few dared to challenge the rigid boundaries of neuroscience. Then came the mystery that turned his name into legend. In December of 1994, Jacobo Grinberg vanished. He had been living in Mexico City with his wife, and everything seemed normal, until one day he simply disappeared. No signs of struggle, no farewell notes, just absence. The disappearance remains unsolved, and this enigma has only magnified the impact of his legacy. People who study his work today often feel a strange connection, as if the man himself had become part of the hidden field he once described. His life story feels unfinished, and maybe that is exactly why it continues to inspire. What makes Jacobo's journey extraordinary is the way he combined logic with intuition. He was trained in neuroscience, yet he respected the rituals of shamans. He designed experiments, but he also meditated, practiced visualization, and entered altered states. He was not afraid to test the boundaries of what the mind could do. He believed telepathy was possible, that healing could occur beyond physical contact, and that human beings could connect to each other through the neuronal field. In one of his experiments, Jacobo placed two people in separate rooms, far apart. He exposed one of them to visual stimuli while measuring their brain activity, and at the same time, he measured the brain waves of the other person who could not see the images. Astonishingly, he found patterns of synchronization, as if the brains were communicating at a distance. To most scientists, this was impossible. To Jacobo, it was proof that consciousness is not limited to the body. These kinds of experiments pushed the boundaries of mainstream acceptance, but they also provided a foundation for his theory. The Sintergy Theory explains such phenomena by suggesting that all minds are connected through the same field. What you think, feel, and imagine does not stay locked inside your skull. It ripples outward, influencing others, and even shaping the environment. This is why he believed practices like intention setting before sleep were not just psychological tricks, but real tools for transformation. Jacobo's approach was radical, because it suggested that reality is negotiable. It suggested that healing, growth, and transformation are not bound by physical limits. And perhaps most importantly, it gave each individual responsibility. If reality is shaped by consciousness, then every person has the power to shape their world. This was not just theory for him, it was an urgent message. Despite the controversies, Jacobo remained committed to his work until the day he disappeared. Friends and students recall his calm demeanor, his passion for exploring the unknown, and his conviction that humanity was on the verge of a great discovery. They describe him as a man who could sit in silence for hours, who radiated presence, and who believed that the key to the universe lay not in telescopes or machines, but in the quiet spaces of the human mind. Before we dive into how his nightly practice can alter your life, remember who he was: a scientist who refused to accept limits, a seeker who honored both lab reports and sacred chants, a man who believed reality was not a prison but a canvas. His disappearance left a void, but his words remain, guiding those willing to look beyond the surface. Jacobo Grinberg was not just a researcher of the mind, he was a traveler of unseen worlds. And the map he left behind begins with the theory that everything you experience is why the consciousness within you. Grinberg believed this state was not random. He saw it as a key to accessing the neuronal field, the subtle network of information that connects everything in existence. To him, the brain was not just a receiver of stimuli, but an active projector. It interacted constantly with this field, creating the very reality we perceive. Every thought, every emotion, every intention was like a signal shaping the projection. If you could learn to influence this process consciously, you could influence reality itself. And the hypnagogic state, just before sleep, was one of the most powerful times to do it. Think of your mind during the day. It is busy, restless, jumping from one thought to another. In this mode, your brain operates in beta waves, focused on logic, problem-solving, and stress. It is like a noisy room where your intentions get lost in the chatter. But as you relax at night, as your eyes grow heavy, the brain shifts into alpha. This is the rhythm of calmness, creativity, and openness. Then, as you approach sleep, theta waves begin to rise. This is the rhythm of deep imagination, memory integration, and subconscious access. For Grinberg, theta was a golden bridge. It connected the conscious self to the deeper field, where reality is woven. He explained this through the Sintergy Theory, his life's work. The theory stated that the neuronal field holds all the patterns of existence. Like an invisible web, the brain interacts with it constantly, weaving perception into what we call reality. In ordinary states, this process is automatic. If the neuronal field is the canvas of reality, then the brushstrokes are your words, emotions, and mental focus. Grinberg identified 3 keys to transformation, 3 elements that had to align to shape the field effectively. The first key is the word. He said a chosen phrase, an affirmation, is like a seed. It must be clear, simple, and directed. It could be as short as "I am whole," or "I live in abundance." Words are not just symbols. In the neuronal field, they carry vibration. When repeated in silence, they begin to tune the mind toward a new pattern. The second key is emotion. Without feeling, words are hollow. You must charge the phrase with emotion so strong that your body believes it is real. Grinberg emphasized that the neuronal field responds not to mechanical repetition, but to the intensity of the felt experience. If you say, "I am free," but feel nothing, the field ignores it. But if you say it while your heart swells with joy, your body relaxes in trust, and your imagination burns with the image, then the phrase becomes a living frequency. Emotion is the electricity that lights up the intention. The third key is the brainwave shift. Timing is everything. During the day, your beta mind is too noisy, too skeptical. But in the hypnagogic state, when alpha and theta waves dominate, the gate is open. This is when the subconscious listens. This is when the neuronal field is most impressionable. Grinberg believed that by combining the word, the emotion, and the right brainwave state, you could create real change, not only in how you think, but in how reality reflects back to you. So how do you practice this? The steps are deceptively simple, yet their power lies in consistency and sincerity. At night, when you are ready to sleep, lie down comfortably. Allow your body to relax fully, releasing the tension of the day. Focus on your breathing. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. With each breath, let your thoughts quiet. You don't need to force anything. The natural rhythm of breathing will guide you into calmness. As your mind begins to slow, choose your phrase. Whisper it inwardly, not aloud. Repeat it silently, letting the words echo in your mind. Do not rush. Imagine the phrase sinking into the space between your thoughts. Now comes the most important part, feel it. Imagine your phrase is already true. If your phrase is about health, feel your body vibrant and strong. If it is about abundance, feel the joy of already receiving. Let the emotion grow until your body responds, maybe with a smile, a warmth in your chest, or a calm release. Visualize as you feel. If your phrase is "I live in peace," picture yourself in a scene of peace, walking by a quiet river, sitting in a home filled with calm light, or simply breathing without worry. Visualization is not about forcing an image, but letting the feeling paint a picture. The stronger the picture and the emotion, the deeper the impression on the neuronal field. As you hover in this state, you may notice the edges of sleep approaching. Your mind drifts, images flash briefly, your body feels heavy. This is the hypnagogic moment. Do not fight it. Allow your phrase, your emotion, and your vision to sink into this gap. It is like planting a seed in fertile soil. You do not need to control what happens next. The field takes over. Your subconscious absorbs it, and overnight, your projection of reality begins to adjust. Grinberg often warned against sharing these intentions with others. He discovered that when people talk about their goals too soon, the brain releases dopamine as if the goal has already been achieved. This false satisfaction drains the energy of the intention. By keeping your nightly practice secret, you protect its force. Secrecy is like placing a seed deep in the earth, where it cannot be disturbed. When practiced night after night, this simple ritual can accumulate enormous power. The neuronal field responds to repetition and consistency, just as the body builds strength through repeated exercise. Each night before bed, when you align your word, your emotion, and your brain state, you are reprogramming not only your subconscious mind, but also the reality that your mind projects. This is the hidden technology Grinberg left behind, a practice that turns the ordinary act of falling asleep into an extraordinary act of creation. There is a reason why the most powerful practices are often done in silence and kept away from curious eyes. Jacobo Grinberg observed something unusual about human intention. When we speak of our desires too early, when we share them before they have taken root, the energy begins to scatter. The mind is clever, but it is also easily deceived. When you talk about your goal, when you describe your vision to others, your brain rewards you as if the work is already done. It releases dopamine, a chemical of satisfaction, giving you the illusion that progress has been made. Grinberg insisted that your nightly practice is yours alone. When you hold your intention in silence, you preserve its strength. You allow it to build quietly, undisturbed by doubt, curiosity, or external opinion. The neuronal field responds to clarity, and secrecy protects that clarity. It is like guarding a flame from the wind. Too much exposure, too much chatter, and the flame flickers out. But in silence, it grows hotter, brighter, and steadier. This is the hidden art of keeping intentions sacred. In the hypnagogic state, when you are drifting towards sleep, your subconscious mind is like an open book. The critical part of the brain, the gatekeeper that usually judges and filters every idea, begins to relax. In waking life, if you try to tell yourself something extraordinary, I am limitless, I am wealthy, I am loved, the conscious mind may argue back. It may say, no, that's not true. Look at your bank account. Look at your loneliness. Look at your struggles. The conscious mind rejects what doesn't fit its current story. But in the hypnagogic moment, this guard is absent. The subconscious accepts the message without debate. Jacobo knew that the subconscious is far more powerful than the conscious mind. It runs the body, stores memories, guides emotions, and most importantly, it connects directly with the neuronal field. What you impress upon the subconscious in this open state does not vanish when you wake. It begins to rewire neural pathways. It alters perception. It changes what opportunities you notice and how you respond. And because perception is projection, the outer reality begins to shift. This is why imagination becomes indistinguishable from reality at that threshold. The subconscious doesn't care if the scene is happening physically or mentally. It absorbs both as real. But here lies a subtle danger. The mind loves to cling. People often approach practices like this with force, straining to make something happen, grasping at results with desperation. Grinberg warned against this. The neuronal field does not respond to pressure. It responds to resonance. If you cling too tightly, you create resistance. You are like a hand squeezing water. It slips through your fingers. The field mirrors not just your words, but your state of being. If your state is tense, doubtful, or desperate, the field reflects that tension back. This is why trust is essential. Letting go is not weakness. It is alignment. After you have chosen your phrase, felt it deeply and visualized it in your mind, you must release it. Allow it to drift into the hypnagogic space without demand. Trust that the field has received the signal. Trust that the subconscious has absorbed the impression. Trust that the right doors will open when the time is right. Grinberg taught that reality is pliable, but not controllable through force. It responds best to a gentle, confident hand, not a desperate grip. And yet, planting a single seed is not enough. The real transformation comes from consistency. Grinberg emphasized that repetition engraves new patterns into the brain. Each night before ferv, when you align your word, your emotion, and your brain state, you are carving a path through the neuronal field. At first, it may be faint, like a trail through tall grass. But with each repetition, the trail becomes clearer, easier to follow, until it becomes a road that reality itself begins to travel. This is the work of neuroplasticity. The brain rewires itself according to repeated experience. By feeding it the same phrase, the same image, and the same emotion each night, you train the neurons to fire in new patterns. Over time, the subconscious accepts this new pattern as the baseline truth. And because the subconscious is linked to the field, the projection of reality begins to reorganize around it. This is why consistency is not optional. It is the engine of transformation. The vibrational alignment that emerges from this practice is subtle but powerful. At first, you may not notice dramatic shifts. Perhaps your sleep feels deeper or your mornings feel calmer. Then gradually coincidences begin to appear, a chance meeting, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden clarity about a problem. These are not random. They are signals that the neuronal field is responding. As the inner vibration aligns with the chosen intention, the outer reality starts to mirror it. The practice becomes a dialogue between you and the universe, a nightly conversation written in silence and emotion. Grinberg believed that the human mind was designed for this kind of creation. He saw the neuronal field as a living web, always responsive, always reflecting. Most people never use it consciously, so their lives become repetitions of old patterns, old projections, old limitations. But the hypnagogic practice breaks that cycle. It interrupts the automatic program and installs a new one. With each night, with each repetition, with each secret intention charged with feeling, the field listens and adjusts. The reason this works is not magic. Though it may feel like it, it is the natural way consciousness interacts with reality. Words shape thoughts, emotions energize them, brainwaves open the door, secrecy protects them, trust releases them, and consistency seals them into the field. This is the architecture of transformation. And in this architecture, you are both the architect and the inhabitant. Silence keeps your energy intact. The subconscious receives without resistance. Trust allows the field to move in harmony. Repetition builds the new pathways. These are not disconnected pieces. They are steps in a single flow, a rhythm that matches the rhythm of life itself. Jacobo Grinberg did not invent the field, he simply revealed it. And he showed that each of us in the quietest moments of the night has the power to engage with it directly. Before you close your eyes tonight, remember this: the last moment of wakefulness is more than just the end of a day. It is the opening of a doorway. Jacobo Grinberg believed that in this secret window, your mind speaks directly to the field that shapes your reality. With a word, with emotion, and with trust, you can plant the seeds of transformation. Night after night, those seeds grow until the world around you begins to mirror the world within you. If this message resonated with you and you're ready to use these teachings to shift your life, don't let the practice remain just an idea. Try it for yourself tonight. And if you found value in this video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel, Awaken Synchronicity, so you don't miss the next step on this journey of inner power and transformation.